Packers at Lions. Lions 2.5-point favorites. 49.5 points is the over under. The playoff implications here, they're big. Packers, 93% chance of making the playoffs with a win, 68% with a loss. That's a big difference. Lions, 88% with a win, 56% with a loss. Basically, winner of this game is kind of in the driver's seat for the NFC North going forward. Sorry, Chicago. We just talked about them, but they are.
So if we're using week one's loss to the Packers to inform us about this game for the Lions, I do think that the Lions are going to come out with a lot different of a game plan. I think they tried to this was an interesting game. Week one was a very interesting game for the Lions. The Packers held them to their lowest outputs of the season running the football. I believe when the Lions just straight up tried to run the ball against the Packers, Green Bay held Detroit to their lowest output of the season in rushing yards, EPA per carry, adjusted yards before contact, all of the like. So I do think they found the formula to stopping the Lions' run game through some slanting, through changing gaps. But where the Packers have been vulnerable has been hitting them with 12 personnel, 13 personnel, getting them into their bigger fronts because they're just a light defense, like physically, and just sort of hammering them. I think the Vikings did that a lot with a lot of success on Sunday. They just didn't have a quarterback who could hit the broadside of a barn. But I do think this game also leans more into the something's got to give sort of game, because the Packers have been really good at defending dagger, defending those middle of the field concepts. They defend dagger better than almost any team in the NFL. And that's something that Jared Goff likes to throw. I like to call it Jared Goff is the king of the 12-yard dig. He loves throwing that route, but the Packers are really good at taking away those routes via inverted Tampa 2. They're gonna rotate Evan Williams down to sort of cut off that dig route. They're gonna play a lot of different coverages to take away the middle of the field. So I'm curious how this works out for the Lions, because this is for the division. Honestly, this is a division title game at this point.
I think it's really going to come down to who plays too. There are so many notable injuries, so many guys whose status is currently up in the air for both sides. To roll through them here real quick, we have Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, Xavier Williams didn't practice. We have Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, Marcus Golden, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Zach Tom, Quay Walker, Dontavian Wicks, and Keyshawn Nixon all limited in practice. Now, this would be Jaden Reed's first game back. Hopefully, Quay Walker comes back. He had a monster game week one. A lot of their ability to shut down the Lions came from basically holding Jahmyr Gibbs to I think it was 2.9 yards per carry and 3.1 yards per reception. So basically, he was not getting those yards after catch that he's so good at. So need those linebackers to play. On the flip side, Graham Glasgow didn't practice. You're already on a backup guard at left guard. Could be on a backup at center too. Kirby Joseph didn't practice either. Taron Arnold, Taylor Decker, Tate Ratledge, Penei Sewell, Isaac Tesla, all limited in practice. So literally your entire starting offensive line either limited or out in this game for the Lions heading in. But Marcus Davenport may be back to add some pressure there to the Lions packages.
So I did see that Kirby Joseph isn't going to play on Thanksgiving. He is not playing. He'll come back later. But I do think that Davenport coming back is huge for them. They need some sort of pass rush, as do I think Jaden Reed coming back helps out this Packers offense, because they just need somebody to separate against man coverage. They need somebody who can create some juice against man coverage. They don't really have guys like that. They have a lot of specialists, and without Tucker Kraft, you don't have the go-to guy against man coverage. Jaden Reed coming back, that'd be huge. I still am sort of curious about if Jordan Love is healthy. I still want to see that. But even in that first game of the season, Jordan Love was really good at diagnosing pressure, and he did a good job of that against the Vikings, sort of diagnosing where pressure was coming from, how he was attacking those looks that Brian Flores was giving him. I think this is going to be a really tight game. It's going to be a really intense game because of how week one went. I still kind of think the Lions win this one though, because you have to split. When these teams are as tightly contested as they are, when they're as evenly balanced as they are, I think they split.
I think the Packers win. I do. I think the injuries up front on the interior of that offensive line are the big thing. Graham Glasgow doesn't play. That basically zaps the one area where I feel the worst about this Packers defense is just being able to lean on these DTs and basically walk the ball down the field via the run. Don't think that's going to be the case if you have backups there, and I don't. And I think in drop back pass situations, they are going to be under siege by those Packers linebackers and blitzing. So give me the Packers to cover and win outright, obviously. All right, Chiefs at Cowboys. Chiefs 3.5-point favorites. 52.5 points is the over-under. Chiefs 73% chance to make the playoffs if they win this one. 43% chance with a loss. 21% chance for the Cowboys with a win, and a 5% with a loss.
This game is going to be such a fascinating one to watch.
I love this game. Such a big game.
It's going to be super cool because I think these are two quarterbacks playing among the best in the NFL. I know that Patrick Mahomes, I've said that he sort of doesn't trust like his receiver core, his offensive line. There's a lot of stuff going on right now at Mahomes and what that offensive infrastructure is like. But against zone coverage, he's shredding right now. Like he has been so impressive, creating voids, creating windows. And I think that this Chiefs offense works better when you get a lot of zone coverage. That's what the Cowboys do. The Cowboys plays a lot of zone coverage. I don't think they trust their defensive backs in man coverage, which I mean, I really wouldn't either outside of maybe DeRon Bland, but they play a lot of zone coverage. I wonder, without Trey Smith, is this a Quinnen Williams takeover game? If Quinnen Williams makes this game really uncomfortable for Patrick Mahomes, I do think the Cowboys have a shot. But I wonder how the Chiefs address a defensive line that's sort of been revitalized. They've been revamped with Quinnen Williams coming in.
And Quinnen Williams himself has been revamped. He had 19 pressures in a Jets uniform this season. In 2 games with the Cowboys, 15 pressures. He has been dominating. And like you said, that's the matchup that flips it for me and why this is actually one of my locks. Cowboys to cover 3.5, especially if I'm getting the 3 there. Backup guards. I guess not backup left guard. Backup at right guard for Trey Smith. And left guard was obviously already kind of an issue. Against Quinnen Williams playing the way he is, I think he is going to be more impactful than I would bet Chris Jones is in this game. And Cowboys, I think, have struggled when you have a really high-end pass rush. I think they're going to be able to do their drop back stuff, their 5-out stuff they want to do offensively. And then when you have that, when you get that with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, just good luck to any defense, especially the Chiefs, whose secondary is just like, it's not anything special outside of, why am I blanking on his name?
McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie there. So I like the Cowboys a lot in this one.
So I think the spin zone for the Chiefs defense is Chris Jones has been incredible the last couple of weeks. 6 pressures against Broncos, 4 huge pressures against the Colts, and just he made impact as a run defender as well. But this is an amazing interior offensive line that he's going to go up against. Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker's playing really well. I do wonder about the health of Tyler Guyton at left tackle, but the Chiefs defense also hasn't really given up explosives. They didn't give up explosives in that Colts game. So I wonder what gives first. Because the Chiefs are also pretty good at defending the run when they're in base defense, when they have 3 linebackers on the field, but they also aren't very good at defending play action. So does this become a play action and Dak shreds type of game? Or if you just think you can throw the ball on this team, just go 5 out, because like you said, the Chiefs pass rush without Chris Jones is sort of lackluster. But I do wonder if you get early Chris Jones takeover, this is going to be a game where I do think it's going to be a tightly contested one, going to be come down to the end of the game. And I honestly don't know who I trust more in end of game scenarios, because on one side you have the most automatic kicker in the NFL. On the other side, you have Patrick Mahomes, where no lead is safe. So I think this game is going to be amazing.
I do. Like I said, this Thanksgiving slate is a tremendous one, and it ends with Bengals at Ravens and the Joe Burrow-led Bengals because he is confirmed playing. Ravens are 7-point favorites. 51.5 points is the over-under. Now, while Burrow's playing, T. Higgins won't be. Trey Hendrickson won't be. Lamar was doing his normal thing he does now, which is not practice the first day of the week, limited in practice the next day of the week. So obviously still not 100%. It showed on the football field with him. Kyle Hamilton, Rashad Bateman, both limited in their own right. We'll see if they play on a short week. All that being said, I still like the Ravens here. I just don't know if 7, though. 7's a lot, especially if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are on the other side.
Which is why one of my locks is Bengals +7.
There you go.
The Ravens, despite getting Lamar back, have not been the face melting offense that we've seen last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, a large part of it is because their interior offensive line has just been shredded. They just haven't been able to generate any push between the tackles.
Does that matter against the Bengals?
That's the problem, though. The Bengals will make sure that they look like the greatest show on turf. So I do wonder what happens there. And then without the full complement of receivers, they're just gonna buddy ball Jamar and Joe Burrow, but can Zach Orr find a game plan that sort of nullifies Jamar Chase's impact on the game? Can you help? Can you rotate your coverage because T. Higgins is out of the game and force Joe Burrow to go other ways? But also, can you get some unblocked pressures? I think Zach Orr has done a really good job since the bye week of scheming up unblocked pressures. I think during the bye, he talked to Mike McDonald and sort of got that he went back to the source for the defense. So I think the Ravens win. Yeah, I think he had to go back to the OG of it. But I think the Ravens win, but I do think this is a close game because I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to score points.
Man, this game was the 2 games these teams played last year were 2 of the best games we saw all season long. They were so good. And it just feels – I feel like this is almost a modicum of this season, is that a lot of games just kind of feels like a shell of what they could have been. This could have been just such a sick game. Even if Burrow is going to be playing in this, it still feels like it's lost some luster from the games we saw last year.